Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm Harvey Free. We got a jam-packed show for you today. All mortgages and real estate. To my right, Harry Glanz.
Good morning, everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Kind of a sad day here in the studio. As everybody knows, Pat Caputo, longtime sportscaster, columnist, Oakland Press guy, Detroit Tigers guy, passed away this week. And we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that. And we knew Pat for well over 40 years. Grew up at the same time Pat did, knew Pat back in the day. He was a trusted friend. I was honored to be one of his advisors late in life, and just really sad about it. Just really breaks me up. And to have conversations with Pat, and if you were a friend of his, you knew those conversations you had were deep conversations. He was a very deep thinker, and he always consoled me when I was going through stuff, and I tried to do the same for him, but kind of broken up about it, and knew Pat very well. And just condolences to Pat and his family, to his entire family, and just we're going to miss him greatly here.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Pat was a great light. We were very blessed for many, many seasons to walk out of the studio, and then in comes Pat. Mm-hmm. And his energy, his presence, his knowledge, and even his feedback that he would give us. Like, he would talk to me on the side a little bit sometimes on like, hey, I heard you. And he's like, you don't know what you don't know. He'd repeat some of the things that we would say. And he was always dialed in and willing to just have a conversation. So definitely our hearts go out to his family, because he was a great, great man that touched the lives of so many people. We're very blessed to know him.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Pat was a friend, and then he became a client. And when Pat trusted you, he trusted you deeply. And when he talked to you, he was very intense, and he was like I said, he was a deep thinker. And he was also very fun to be around. And, he's not known as a funny guy. He was pretty funny. His sense of humor
he was
great.
low-key funny.
I say low-key funny is exactly a great way to describe it.
He was so awesome, and I'm just going to miss him, and I just want to put that out there to everybody.
Yeah, no doubt his impact on Detroit sports fans and all across Southeast Michigan is going to be felt. And we'll continue on here this morning as we got a 1 hour of mortgages and real estate. Got some excitement here, of course. If you're a sports fan here in Detroit, we got the Pistons playoff game this afternoon, which is really cool.
Detroit basketball.
And if you're a real estate fan, we've got a full house for you today. We got Lisa Lawson, of course, Becky Alley already on the radio here this morning with Harry and myself, and Patricia Uribe. Good morning. Thank you for coming in, of course, with which one are you? Remax Eclipse. Yeah. Now there's some word on Remax on the street. I won't even bring that. I just thought of that. So might be some big merger happening with your office, or is that any of that talk going on?
All are Remax, but
okay.
I don't think
they were sold.
Things are going to change so much.
No, things don't change.
So, Pat, we were talking before the show, and we're talking about this as kind of a crazy market depending on where you are. In a lot of areas, there aren't too many homes up for sale, not a lot of homes coming up for sale, and you're just listing like crazy right now, right? Your listings are going great. Tell us about that.
Just typically in the past, I've worked more with buyers, but this year it just seems to be more listings on the market. But, and to be honest, I have one client that is divesting their investment properties and moving out of state. So I've picked up all of those, plus he'll be listing their primary homes. So
it's wonderful. We talk about that. We talk about the investment market, Becky and Lisa. We talk about it all the time. Michigan's hot for that, right? It's really, really hot for that.
Absolutely.
So
always has been.
Yeah, I was just somewhere with a group of women from across the nation, and to hear what their markets are like in comparison to ours, and like they're in, let's say Colorado, for example, like homes, they're sitting for 3, 4, 5, 6 months, but the price points are exponentially higher than ours, right? But then, I was like in Michigan, they still are. I mean, maybe you'll get a house that's sitting for 30 days, but that's like the maximum, but that's like after there's maybe some work that needs to be done. But even though like there's more listings that are flooding the market here in Michigan, there's still not enough, like the buyers still are exponentially more than the listing. So they're still not lasting. So like the Michigan market is crazy, but in regards to the investment property part of it, people are very much so coming from the outside in. And, when I was talking to some of the women about how you can still get lakefront property, or, like go up to Traverse City and you can still get some places under $500,000 that like that's unheard of. Like their price points like $750 just for a normal cookie cutter condo even. And so it just made me kind of get that perspective of realizing that we really are so blessed in Michigan to have the things that we have, but it's catching on, and people are trying to gobble up these properties. So, obviously the messaging here is if you want to own a house and you live in Michigan, do not let these opportunities pass you by, because there might come a moment in time where we're like those Colorado cities, and it's going to be difficult to get some property.
I like where you went with that. It's definitely very affordable because you could be on the golf. We talked about it last week's show. You could be on the golf course. You could be on a lake, an inland lake, on the big water. And there's opportunities out there that aren't as expensive as other places around the country. So still pretty affordable. So we'll talk about affordability here and what's in our backyard. Down payment assistance, as we always throw that in. And anything else you want to add to our show, 248-539-9797. We'll take all those calls. We'll touch on some interest rate conversation too. Of course, interest rates hovering in the mid sixes, let's say. There's always interesting news about it. Where we stand right now is still extremely competitive. Maybe these rates trickle down a little bit if this Iran conflict thing can end sooner than later.
But the rates have been, over the last couple of months, they've been pretty normal.
Steady.
Yeah, pretty steady where they're at, right? So the whole mental, they're not going back down in the fours, right? So, and I feel like most people are understanding that, but there are a few out there that are still holding it out for oh man, I think these rates are going to go down over the next 12 months. Yeah. And they might, but we'll be walking around high-fiving people. So we already touched the high fives. I don't really see us moving much dramatically past that, even the mid fives. But, right now we're in a perfect opportunity where you can lock in the price point of the home. We can identify a price point that you can afford or a payment that you can afford. You can stop renting or start building your real estate portfolio. You can still cash flow these properties, and you can put yourself in a lateral position so that way if the rates and all your sun, the moon, and the stars align for you, you're already in the price of the house, because once these, if the house continues to increase, who cares what your interest rate is, to be honest with you?
Yeah, a lot of crazy things happened this past week, and a couple examples are, for example, Monday, rates went over 6.5. Mm-hmm. Now, when we're talking about watch it every day, we watch it intraday. And then they ended up this week, they were down. You ready? Watch this. A whopping 6 basis points. To everybody out there, if you see out there that a rate is 6.50, which is 6.5, and it goes down 6 basis points, that means it's now at 6.44. Mm-hmm. All right, so there's no difference between 6.44 in the real world and 6.5 in the mortgage world. There isn't a difference.
But you put a 4 in front of there, and it looks real cool.
So now what's happening also is that people are getting mass solicited out there. Because rates aren't going down where they were, all the phony balonies are coming out, and I'm getting phone calls and emails. People are pulling public records, and they're doing anything they can to try to stir up refinance business. So they're putting email out there saying, hey, we can get you a 4.8% rate.
Because people have equity.
And bottom line is that you can't get that rate unless you pay 4, 5, 6 points for it. Yeah. So now if you want to go ahead on a $200,000 house and pay $12,000 for the privilege of paying $75 a month, I'm going to tell you you're crazy.
Absolutely.
You don't do it.
It's equity stripping. It's actually predatory.
These are
People
scams.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very predatory.
So the email I sent back to the guy who texted me or emailed me, I said, it's a scam. Mm-hmm. Don't pay attention to it.
Run, don't walk from that.
I'm going to say maybe not necessarily a scam as much as the fact that the lack of knowledge or your own
scam.
I mean,
your own
I'm not
ignorance
against paying
might.
points because sometimes it makes sense, but you should not be paying 6 points for anything.
No.
Period. Ever. That's just absolutely insane.
I don't even know how that's
Right.
to that point of
you
when
can't
you see
save
it,
the money.
it's how can you even get away with it? I feel like if I'm even $5 too high, someone's like, oh well, I don't know about that $5.
Yeah.
And it's
I'm
something
it's your
that's
homeowner's
and
insurance,
it's
you
a
picked it.
title fee or
Yeah.
something of that
Right.
nature. And then it's you see these estimates come across our desk where it's someone is quoting somebody, will say 6.625, whatever the APR was, I can't remember, and it was literally 3.4 in points, and I was like, what?
Yeah, Becky sends me a text and goes, "You're not going to believe this one."
Yeah,
and this was one.
it.
Yeah, 6 and 5/8 paying 3 points.
And this wasn't even Monday. This was a week before when the rates. I mean, the rates actually went up from then. So can you imagine what they'd be quoting people?
Yeah.
But then on the flip side, right? But so this is going to be a moment, because I get that it happens. You as the consumer, our listeners, you're trained to I'm going to shop all the things, right? But sometimes it's not a good thing when you're shopping all the things. You have to know that when you're with a reputable company, you have to be okay with that, because sometimes someone's going to tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. And I was actually working with a buyer, and they're like, well, I sent your estimate over to blah, blah, blah bank. And I was like, okay. And they're like, because I was told that if I send my estimate out, someone's going to do better for me. I was like, okay, but we're doing a MIJDA program. I was like, so that means that the rate and the fees are universal. So that would be equivalent to you shopping the best 0% credit card at multiple Home Depots.
Right. It's all 0%.
Gonna be
It's all
the
the same.
same.
Right.
It's going to be exactly the same. I was like, so now the difference is you're working with me. I'm not bank hours. I literally was talking to you as I was getting on and off planes, okay,
Yeah.
talking about escrow accounts, and you just told me that you have to wait till 9 a.m. tomorrow for this other person to get in to verify that they can't do better than my quote. I'm like, I go, this is nonsense. I'm like,
Yeah.
can we just move on from it? So just know, like, you feel it in your bones sometimes when you know you have with a good company and a reputable person. And if I'm talking to you and I'm getting on and off of a plane, obviously I'm going to be available to you to advise you to make sure that you're overly versed on what the escrow account is and all the other questions that came along with that.
Becky, what we do is we're always collecting documents and educating clients. That's it. What we
got
do
me
is
real
we're
wild over that
sharing
one.
information. We're
Yeah.
sharing information out there.
I was
And
like,
a
we're
lot of
still
documents.
riled
We're
up.
shopping 0%
Right.
credit cards. That's what's
Right.
like. What about you, Home Depot? Can you do better than this other 0% financing?
Yeah. Also, other angles of the whole thing about refinance as we talk about lower interest rates in the future. Maybe right now you're doing a debt consolidation loan, Lisa. I spoke to someone this week, and they had banged up credit, but they needed to consolidate debt. So their credit score was extremely low. They ended up getting an FHA mortgage. And again, the game plan wasn't set up for him. He called one of these big box places where they're reading scripts, which is even worse. If you're talking with someone who sounds like they're reading something off the script, it's probably not the right place to start. Sure enough, he's talking about refinancing. He just got the mortgage 6 months ago. So putting that plan together and understanding why you would want to refinance down the road, maybe to remove the MIP and go from an FHA to a conventional. So you don't want to pay points on that mortgage. He paid a lot of them, but that's another story.
and Lisa's going to get his credit up. All right, Lisa is the credit queen.
Yeah.
The credit queen,
Put the plan together.
my other
Yeah.
favorite nickname.
Yeah.
Well, there should always be a plan, and I think people are short-sighted. They get really excited because they hear they have a low rate. And I literally just had this conversation with someone earlier. He was like, can you explain to me why it doesn't make sense, why you're saying I shouldn't pay that much in points? Because there was another estimate. I could have met the estimate. Wasn't that? And I said, but you just told me that your goal is to, he bought an investment property. They're going to eventually sell that. He's going to use that and pay off the house. I said, that's your goal in 24 months. Why would you pay points that are going to take almost 5 years to pay back? You won't even have the property. That is clearly just a waste of money.
The current
I go,
value
well,
of that cash
is so much better.
worth more than the future value.
But the problem is the cost to recoup the points that he was going to pay
way too long.
was going to be longer than he even intended to keep the mortgage. So if people aren't understand, it's just math. Math is just
Just
mathing.
math.
But if you don't understand the person's plan, you know what I mean? Because there's a bigger picture here. You would have just cost this person an extra $4,000 if they could have done something else with.
But
it.
other
before we
people
go to
don't
this-
care.
yeah,
Other
but-
people don't care
yeah,
about the
yeah.
plan.
Yeah, but we're going to the break. I know that, but you just made me realize that we are very underutilized. Whatever.
All right. Well,
I'm
the
just
forecast
jacked
suggests
up
rates will
today.
remain above 6% foreseeable future. Day-to-day movement,
Yeah.
it's always based on inflation and other things. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. It's a hardcore mortgage real estate business show. 248-539-9797. Your calls when we come back. Everybody, welcome to the show. As that recording just said, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker, empowered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, equal housing lender. I'm repeating it. Patricia Uribe, welcome to our show, of course. Remix Eclipse. Always have welcome back to the show and talk about what's going on in inventory in our own backyard. That's always cool. 248-539-9797. If you're thinking about selling a house, maybe you're diving into the buyer's pool, definitely get in touch with us. These strong approval letters are key. And more importantly, Pat, we talk about the product out there, and that's at the end of the day is, are there homes that are going to fit your needs, and what's your strategy going into these? So that's one of the things. We'll start off with the inventory aspect of things. There are homes on the marketplace.
There are homes on the market, and they're selling as long as they're presented properly and priced properly. Because if you're overpriced, these buyers are just walking right by it. You know,
They're educated better.
Yeah, and they have a little bit more time to think because they're not in such a frenzy. They can, now they're able to do their home inspections and, think about not overpaying for a price, for a home.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
overpriced.
Homes might have in the past gotten multiple offers in the first 24 hours. Now they might get multiple offers in the first 5 days. I'm not saying that it's not moving. It's just slow down just a tad, almost to make it so you can breathe and think about what you're doing. So it's still a great market to buy, but to Pat's point, you absolutely have just an extra moment. You know what I mean? Right. We're not seeing that. I'm waiving inspection. I'm closing. You know what I mean? You've got a tiny bit more time. I don't want you to.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's more settled experience,
so
right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a question for you.
No crazy frenzy.
And this is kind of counter to what we've always thought and what we've always talked about. With the market being so fluid and everything going so quickly, how do you feel about if you want to be in that house, if you want to be in that neighborhood, what's wrong with overbidding?
Nothing. It's great. It's a great way to obtain it.
Don't think any. I mean, excuse me. I had sat at an open house on Thursday night with on the east side where I live, and the very first offer came in over asking.
Yeah.
So give us some numbers. Share those numbers with us.
So house was listed for $399,999. The first offer came in at $402,000.
Have they settled yet?
Yeah. I would have to follow up with that person. I don't know because I'm here this morning, but it was only a couple days ago. They had another open house yesterday. So
Pat, as a realtor, if it's a desirable area, desirable neighborhood, and you know things are going fast, and you have a client, what's wrong with overbidding? I'm just restating. What's wrong with overbidding to get that property if you want to be in that property and it makes sense for them?
It's got to make sense for them.
Right.
If it's not, if they're just overreaching because they really want it, what happens if you lose a job or someone gets sick? I mean, then you're stuck.
And we're not talking, there's a difference between overbidding and overreaching. And I'm glad you said that because, this person that I just said, their pre-approval was for, $500,000. So a $400,000 property is not overreaching for them. Do you mean, or bidding over asking?
Buying within their means for sure.
Absolutely within their means. It's different than someone who's like, my pre-approval is for $399 or $395, but I really want this house. It's $400, and I'm gonna, beg, borrow, steal, ask dad for a gift, and all of a sudden, a year from now, the taxes adjust, and now you're looking to sell the place because you can't afford to keep it.
Yeah, real life scenario.
That's overreaching. There's a little bit of a difference.
Yeah, real life scenario. About 4 or 5 years ago, I had a client that was looking for their forever home. They just got married, kids, everything like that. They're going to be there for 30 years for sure. And they wanted to be in a certain neighborhood. So they went ahead, and the house went on the market, and everybody knows, they knew, family knew, they overpaid for the house, but they wanted to be there. Now it's 5 years later. They've been there 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And now they're settled in, and guess where the market went? It's now over
they got equity.
what they paid back in the day. We're going to say back in the day, previously. So my point is that it's not always a bad idea to go ahead and overpay for something, whatever it is. A, if it makes sense. B, if you're going to keep it for a very long time. And C, eventually, however long it takes, in real estate, the market always goes up. It always does.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's the long game. And obviously, like even the people in, we'll go back to 2020 when it was wild again, right? Like those, like if you were able to throw your hat in the ring, you look like a genius, because that's when like people were really getting wild about going above asking, right? Buying sight unseen. Like, I mean, there was a lot of like unprecedented things that happened during those moments, but like where we're at now, like they have the equity. Or if you bought, like I bought my house in 2018 and my house is double what I paid for it at the time, right? But it's like, you can't time it perfectly, but you just have to do it.
Right.
You have to just, if you want to own a home, if you want to build your real estate portfolio, you want to collect multiple like investment properties, you just have to do it. And the world has a way of like just opening up for you when you do that. So.
All right, great strategy. You're out there
Just
buying
do
a
it.
house,
That's
and
the
I keep
strategy.
sharing different things we always share. We come up with, and we're like, this would be really good. So I'm advising all the clients now. If you've picked out a couple cities that you're thinking you're going to want to live in, so you're sort of even going out there with the real estate agent, and you can call those 3 cities, find out the differences. And I just spoke to a couple yesterday, whether it be Brighton or Brighton Township or Genoa Township. Just call and find out what the different millages in, and now you can discuss with the treasurer's office what these future taxes might be. You can send them a hypothetical and say, if I was able to buy this particular property, what would I be looking at in my future taxes? So I like that call, and that's just preparing yourself for home ownership. And then also reach out to your insurance agent. So again, if the numbers are a little tight and we're in this competitive marketplace, your insurance agent probably hasn't talked to you in a while. They'd love to hear from you and say, look, I'm thinking about buying a new home. Let me give you a couple addresses. Can you give me an idea what I'd be looking at for homeowners insurance? So that's taken away on the PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. These are 2 of the components that will give you a good idea. And again, Becky, we're adding confidence to buyers. I think that's the key. If you're going to overbid, you better have that game plan.
Yeah. So like I did an in-person first-time buyer meeting yesterday morning in Royal Oak. And they've been wanting to buy for quite some time, and they were nervous a little bit. So they wanted to meet me in person. They even want to meet my staff on like a Zoom. They want to know who's like dealing with their documents, like very, cautious in the things, right? So we got through it, but we had that deep dive conversation of, okay, I was like, this is what your payment would be at this denomination. And I just wanted to see in their eyes, how do you feel about that? And then you can always back it down, because on paper, you could afford $500,000. But when I hit you with a $3,500 a month payment,
There you go.
if I see your eyes glass over, okay, then I need to let that sit on you, because you call it hungry eyes syndrome, right? I really love everything that a $500,000 house has to offer, but that payment, you're the one that has to live it.
Yeah.
And I'm not paying your bills. I'm not in your finances other than to get you through to the house, the pre-approval process and the financing part of it. But it's important to know like what is your maximum, so that way when you are going out and you're seeing these properties, we know immediately, let's dial it back down. So we found that our comfort range was around $350, but then I was like, okay, these are the taxes. This is the future taxes. And you're so right, Harvey. Homeowners insurance is a racket right now. And the cost of homeowners insurance is so high. It is, right?
I love when you say
Not
that.
always. Wait. So I'm
wait.
with you on that.
Okay,
Right.
it's
Right.
very
Right.
high.
I don't want to put anybody on blast.
No,
That was
I'm
a
not
really
putting
good.
it's no.
Time out. It is.
I'm not.
I
Yeah,
agree
so
with you
I am
100%.
not.
It's a racket.
I have a great
I
people
like
that I
that.
refer business to, and we have all, and like, because
That's
you
your
gotta work with
girl.
good people.
That's
yeah,
your
like
girl.
we have great people that we are associated with, and multiple people at that, but they can't control what the homeowners insurance prices are, and that is a direct line to your payment. And if I am quoting $1,500 and you're buying a house in Redford, and now it's $2,500 for a property in Redford, for example, that is a huge impact on your payment, and that affects my numbers.
It's $83.33 a month
It's very much.
a racket.
It's very much important for a buyer now during the pre-approval process. Once that we land on a property, immediately. Harvey,
Right.
I'm validating you. You
Thank
have to
you. I
get the
appreciate
homeowner's
that.
insurance quote, because that's affecting everything from start
We
to
are
finish.
seeing, because of that, higher deductible. So if you're
Yes.
purchasing his house, the old $1,000 deductible isn't really there, and it's not offered as much up as the $2,000 deductible. But I did see a variance of $1,800 to $1,200. So again, you go from $150 a month on your homeowners, maybe to $100 a month. It's $50 savings. It's not going to break the piggy bank, but who doesn't want to save $50 every month? It does add up over time.
Yeah.
And I tell
it-
people, let's sit
It
back.
helps us
'Cause
qualify people.
Well, not only that, I said, are you really going to file a claim for $1,200? Like if you have a $1,200
Right.
loss, are you filing a claim so you can have increased insurance for the next 5 years? Well, no, not for $1,000. So why do you have $1,000? I mean, why?
Yeah.
Increase your deductible. I mean, there's a point. There's math to this, right? So if you're not going to file a claim for that little amount, then that's what your deductible shouldn't be that low. You know what I mean? So there's numbers to this, and there's strategy to this, so I'm not always saying increase the deductible to get a lower premium, because some people, they need a low deductible because
Yes.
they might have cash flow issues, or they know that's different.
Yeah,
You know what I
God
mean?
forbid,
But
yeah.
again, everything is subjective, and it should be specific and personalized for you and what you need out of your home and your,
You know, that's why I
experience.
appreciate you, Lisa, because you're very like, let's get in the weeds. We're gonna get in the mud, right?
I'm in the
it's
muck
not
all
very,
the time.
Like, it's not surface level. With,
No,
it's
it
well,
can't
it's
be.
well stated. You have
Yes.
to do your homework, and
You
again,
gotta
we
do
say
it.
it's all in the math. And the bottom
Yeah.
line is that mortgage debt. And there was an article put out on May 5th. Is mortgage debt still good debt? The answer to the question is yes. It's way better than credit card debt.
Yeah.
It's way better than auto loan debt. It's
Yep.
way better than your department store debt. So you could still deduct up to $750,000 worth of interest on mortgage, and you can deduct up to $10,000 on your property taxes. All right, so there is good debt, there is bad debt. When we come back from the break, Harvey Freed, we're going to get into it, right?
There you go. Keep it here on 97.1 The Tickets, the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, we're back here live. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Show. Always giving you great information about mortgages, real estate, whatever else you want to talk about. 8:31 here in Metro Detroit. They say some showers today. Hopefully it holds off till later.
Mother's Day tomorrow.
Got Mother's Day tomorrow. Yeah,
Mother's
we'll send
Day
out
tomorrow.
those things. Brendan and Kenny
Bruno
Cott,
Mars
of
is playing
course.
this weekend.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
For
Brendan
those who love
Shabbat,
music,
Kenny
in
Cott
Michigan.
following us, Mark Ryan after that. Then Pistons basketball. How about that? 2-0 lead out there here. You're a big basketball fan.
Big guy like that. Yeah, I think Pistols look really good. They play tough defense. They're very physical. The refs have been calling it in our favor. You know, when you play playoff basketball, it's different. That's why an 82 game season is rough, because they don't call it the same way. They don't play the same way. You get into playoff basketball, it's a little bit rougher. And Usually the better team wins.
There you go. I was waiting for you to actually add real estate into basketball and make some analogies and comparisons and stuff.
Look at my
No,
man.
but I love it though. It's been, I mean, think about how long it's been since we felt that like Detroit basketball,
Yeah.
like energy. It's like they're electric and it's really fun to watch, especially
Well,
that last series, taking it all the way to Game 7.
That was awesome.
Because this team fits the way we really are in our
it's like
area
the bad
in
boys.
Detroit.
Like,
I was
coming
gonna
back.
say, it's like, we scratched it out the last time. I do watch a little basketball.
Listen, we're not soft here. You can't
No.
be soft and live in Detroit, Detroit metropolitan area. They grind it out. They're tough. They play well. Cade's
We got
playing
grit.
unbelievable. We've got a lot of great players
Yeah.
that are surrounding him. And you just got to be tough. You got to be more physically and mentally tough than the other team. And that's what's happening right this second. So we're up 2-0, but you got to get to 4. You got to win 4 out of 7. You don't win 2 out of 7.
All right, we got open lines here if you want to talk mortgages and real estate. Of course, the sports guys will be following us right after.
The
this,
real
so keep it
sports
here.
guys.
The
They get
real
paid
sports
for
guys.
that.
They get paid. They know what they're talking
They get
about.
paid for that.
Yeah, just like you're talking about, like you got to win 4, you got to get that offer accepted,
Right.
man. You
Right.
got
Yeah.
to have that grit in there when you're getting these houses. You
You
know,
need
like
to get in there.
You
And
can't
that's-
get discouraged if your offer isn't accepted on that first
Well,
one.
and that's why we brought up, do you have to sometimes overpay for something you want? And if it's in a hot market, everybody, it's going to catch up. If you have a long-term plan, real estate is the best investment you can make. But again, it has to make sense for you, and you have to be able to afford it long-term.
Yes.
All right. Looking ahead, most experts think 2026 is going to be a transition year, and we're already feeling it. I mean, definitely business in the beginning of the year, the first quarter was really heavy, and we're seeing, I'm sure it'll continue all the way through the spring, the rest of the spring and the summer across the United States. Pat Uribe, of course, from RE/MAX Eclipse joins us here. And Pat, we did touch on the inventory a little bit. You got some listings out there right now. Do you want to mention anything that you got coming up? Or
I've sold all of them. I have
So there
a
you
couple
go.
coming up. Yeah.
She's-
So
Okay.
they sold pretty quickly. They did not all go over asking.
Okay.
Actually, they were all slightly under, but they did sell. I've got a couple. One coming up in Ferndale, Royal Oak, Rochester Hills.
Oh, all great
Yeah, so-
cities here.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are all
Looking
cities that
forward
you
to it.
want to move into, and different price ranges in those cities. That's what I like.
Exactly.
And you could go to metropolitan cities across Southeast Michigan, and there's a 700, there's an 800, then there's also the starter homes, 250 to 350. So good variety. Pick out one of those cities that you want to move to, and as Becky always says, start building equity and stop paying your landlord's
Yeah,
mortgage.
well, speaking of that,
Exactly.
here, trivia question for everybody here. Answer the question for 2025, the top 10 most expensive markets. The question is, how many weren't in California?
How many
The most
weren't?
expensive
so
one weren't.
so 10 most expensive markets. How many were not in California?
2.
So close. One.
Oh,
One.
I was gonna- yeah.
So
that
9
New
out
York?
of 10. 9 out of 10
Sure.
were all the cities in California: San Jose, Anaheim, L.A., San Francisco, San Diego. You know them all, right?
What was the one not?
The only one,
New York,
and it
somewhere,
was
I'm
number
guessing.
10, and it was ready. Naples, Florida.
Oh,
was
wow.
number
Naples,
10.
Florida.
All right,
I'll
so
be in Florida.
so
Nice.
I'd like
Michigan-
New York.
Michigan is not on the list,
Right.
meaning it is not an expensive market to live in, especially metropolitan Detroit. Not. We're very, very affordable.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. I
We're
mean,
one of the most
yeah.
affordable areas in the country
Yeah.
to live in, given the services that we have here. We talk about four professional sports team, the arts, everything that we have, the lakes.
Great university.
All
Yeah,
right.
the water
Yes.
is a huge thing. I mean, even just
Yeah.
like in, again, I was around people that work for Colorado, and they were freaking out how they didn't get a lot of snow, and it affects everything. And they got snow last week, and they were like,
they
we
did.
needed it desperately, and like the little things that we almost like just don't even think about because we are surrounded by water. We have access to things. We have the walkable towns. You can be beachfront. You can have a house off a cliff if you want up north. It's just we have
And we've
a little
got
bit of
great
everything.
colleges.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
You
we
know
do.
what I mean? Like,
And
really,
4
Michigan,
seasons.
the
Yeah.
4 seasons. Yeah. There's just so much that we have here that I think we take for granted because we've grown up here,
It's-
lived
yeah,
here.
it's perspective.
It's-
Yeah.
Right. And then you go somewhere else and you're like, wait, what? You don't have this? You don't have that? You know what I mean? So,
Like, nobody's selling me on moving anywhere at this
Yeah,
point. Like
no.
when I talk to people, I'm like, oh, okay, well, Michigan, yay.
right.
They don't
no,
know.
we're very,
Yeah.
very fortunate. So,
Yeah.
and I think if you love where you live, you need to invest where you are, right, and put roots down. And that's all about buying the great home, And when you're looking to put down roots, and especially we're talking about everything from we start out talking about investing and getting investment properties. Sometimes you need to invest in yourself, and that means getting the house that you want that you're going to even maybe slightly grow into, or things that might need work, and you're going to put some sweat equity in, and
Make it your own.
Make it your own. And 5 or 10 years from now, that's going to be worth way more. You're going to love it. You're going to have memories. but you're also building generational wealth because the longer you stay there, eventually you're going to sell it. You're going to have some proceeds. You could roll that into your next property. You could, you got to start somewhere, and I always tell people there's a reason that Warren Buffett's like one of the richest men in the world. And what does he say? Real estate, real estate, real estate.
The guy's extremely conservative too.
And
He's
he's
still driving around like a 1978 pickup or something. It's cool. Good for him.
Well, it's an
pretty
old cat. It's an old Cadillac.
Caddy, yeah.
Right?
It's
It's
an
an
old
old Cadillac.
Cadillac.
I know.
Pickup. I like a pickup.
I've met
Cadillac.
Mr. Buffett a couple times
Oh,
actually.
I
but,
love it.
That's cool.
yes,
Did you?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I have pictures with him actually at a Pistons game.
Oh, that's cool.
But yes, and but the whole point is you have to invest in something, and real estate is always a good idea.
Well, Lisa and Becky, talk about, along with Pat, home affordability and first-time home buyer programs. We talk about it all the time. It used to be back in the day, and I can say this, that if you could, you could afford the payment on a rent payment, why can't I buy a house? Why can't I buy a house? Because I don't have a down payment. That doesn't exist anymore, right? It does not exist.
Yeah, it's the opportunity for you to get into a home is here and now. And part of the programs that are out there too is because they understand that when you are, scrounging together, because there's no mandate on your current landlord not increasing the rent, right? Because let's just say their taxes went up, so they're going to push that towards you because they're trying to cash flow the property, obviously. But you as the person that's their tenant, you maybe didn't have that opportunity to save the money. You can afford the payment easily, but you can't get your $2,000 to $5,000 in, let's just say a 60-day period.
But now you can.
Yeah, but now you can because we have the programs. And some of these, you don't even have to be a first-time buyer.
Right.
And there's no income caps, meaning that you could really make good money and still get up to 5% of a purchase price.
Yep.
So if it's, for example, like for a $200,000 house and you're not a first-time buyer and you're not one of these special counties, you could get up to $10,000 to go towards purchasing your home. And that is huge money because now maybe you're just bringing $3,000 or $5,000 and versus bringing $20,000. It's a huge difference. And that's the difference between you owning a home and not owning a home. And then you get in there, you drive the house off the lot, and then now here you are, a homeowner, and then in 6 months or a year from now, 2 years from now you're in a totally different financial situation and you're building your own equity, and then we can eventually refinance you and lower the rates and whatever it is. It rolls in a
So
the better place.
ladies and Harvey did one of these loans. He'll tell you about it in a second. But the calls that we get are as follows. How do I get access to that free money?
Yeah, it's
Right?
not exactly
That's it.
free money.
Right.
Yeah.
But these are the calls we listen to you on the radio. How do I gain access to that free money you guys are giving
There's
out,
so
Lisa?
many. Well,
Go Silva.
right. So some of them are national programs like Chinoa. So it doesn't matter
That's the
where
one
you
Harvey
live.
just did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know because Harvey and I talked about it a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
So
he yelled
I
about
do-
it. You talked about it.
I do a lot of those, yeah.
So, and Chinoa is a phenomenal program. That's the one that Becky says. It does not matter how much money you make. You could literally make a $300,000 income and you need to buy a house and the house is $700,000 and you're got a little cash flow issue. Chinoa can help you.
Yeah.
There is no limit in income. There's no limit in
But and then
it's
the
gotta
loan
be
amount's
conventional.
FHA. It's FHA only.
loan.
FHA.
Well, they could put the difference out.
Yeah.
True. But it is right now FHA. It used to be both, but
Yeah.
now it's FHA
Now it's just
only.
FHA only, correct.
Then there's other programs like MISHDA through the state of Michigan. There's programs in other states. So everyone's like, well, I want to buy a home in Indiana. Indiana has their own version of
a
what
bond
we
loan,
call
right.
MISHDA.
The MISHDA
It's a
loan.
bond
Yeah,
loan.
exactly.
So there's, they have different caveats and different rules for different states, but they're out there. There are so many other programs. There's the
so like National Faith, for
oh,
example, like I just
yeah,
did a first time
National Faith home
buyer,
buyer.
and we're able to go with a MISHDA initial rate, which was like a 5.7 rate.
Yep.
It's a 5.75. It's a published rate. So again, that is universal. You can't shop that rate around. It is
Nobody
what it
can
is.
beat it if you got the
but
same
they were
program.
buying a house in Wayne County, and they happen to be purchasing in Lincoln Park. So if you're looking to purchase in Lincoln Park, that's up to $13,000 or $14,500, I believe, was the Lincoln
Yeah.
Park money.
And Becky, this is not recovered. Did they give you the
And
money?
that's it's after 3 years,
Forgivable.
it's forgivable.
Yep.
Right,
After
two
3
different- right.
years.
You
So-
have to, as a primary residence for 3 years.
Right. The
Yeah.
MISHDA one's a
And
little
this
bit
one,
different.
But that particular program has very strict income limits.
Right.
So that's where the end and be all of it is to have a conversation
Mm-hmm.
because you don't know, you hear about it, but you could be thinking one thing and then we see your financial profile and then we're going to take you in a totally different direction because we're able to see the best direction for you.
So call us about the free money.
Yes.
Call us.
Yeah.
We'll tell
just
you where
the-
the free money's
Just the other
coming
day,
from.
I had somebody call and they said, "Oh, I have a pre-approval from it was a different lender," and it was fine. It was an FHA approval for their max amount. But they were like, I got to pretty much drain everything that they were allowed to liquidate out of their retirement. And they didn't really want to do that. And I was like, well, I said, I'm a non-confrontational kind of person. And I
Yes,
said,
you
well,
are.
I go, did they talk to you about the down payment assistance programs? They're like, no. And I said, give me your stuff. We went through it. I sent them 5 different pre-approvals for different programs.
Yeah.
Here's the max amount would be here. This is what it would look like. And I give them example estimates to go with it. So if you're looking at, for example, we did a Mishta one. This is what it would look like with down payment assistance. Mishta has a program without down payment assistance at a lower rate. I sent them one of those. I sent them one for Chinoa, and I sent them like a regular FHA. But you don't know what you don't know. And they came through it and they said, well, you know what? This one program works a bit better. I don't need a $220,000. I'm really looking for 180 anyway. You know what I mean? So have the conversation.
All right. We're up against our third break, 8:42 here in Metro Detroit. If you're just joining us, keep it here on 97 on the tickets. Mortgage, real estate, 248-539-9797. Keep it here. Welcome back in our last segment here, 8:45. It's a hardcore mortgage real estate business show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Definitely. If
Give
you
them
have
our number
friends,
again.
I will. 248-539-9797. But call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, especially if you're friends or family, you're thinking about buying. Get that real approval. Have real conversation. We don't read scripts.
No.
Trust me.
This is all us, everybody.
This
And
is
shout
us.
out
It's
to
raw.
Marcus Kincaid, longtime listener. He reached out looking for, we're going to assist him with a purchase. So shout out to our longtime listeners and viewers. Even if you don't call us, we know that you're there. We know that you're loyal. We talk to you like off air, during the week. And we appreciate that, that you, even if we just connect with one person each show that needed to hear whatever we needed to hear or whatever we were saying or they needed to hear at the time, we appreciate that. It just, I will say like this, that every week when we're having our daily cadence of what we're doing, I realize that we have a responsibility with this platform,
Well,
right?
we
to
appreciate that.
educate people. But like, I feel like we don't connect with enough people sometimes.
Listen,
because
Yes.
I like getting the calls when they say, hey, I was referred by somebody that heard you on the radio that you did their mortgage. I just have a question for you. Can you help me out with an answer? That's perfect. Let's just do that.
Yeah.
If we could just answer, everybody says, do you get a lot of calls? You do this, you do that. We give right down the middle advice, straight up, no BS advice. If you want to use us, that'd be great. If you don't, we're a second set of ears, a third set of ears. Call us. We'll give you the answer. We're not going to give you the answer that you're looking to hear. We're going to give you the right answer. That's it. I'm not selling anything. I'm not selling. I'm too
What were you
old
gonna
to
say? You're
sell.
too old to sell.
I'm too
I knew
old
you
to
were gonna
sell.
go there.
I'm not selling. It's
Harry,
bullshit.
I took a
Did I say
call.
that? Can I say that on the air?
No, you can't.
Cut it out. I
You can
apologize.
say the other.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean that. I just got caught up in the moment.
our
Because
Passionate. It's the
our producer
passion.
is giving us the off with your head.
I just want to help. I just want to help
get
people.
fined for that
That's
later.
it. Sorry about that.
I took an interesting call, like what you're mentioning here is, and he said, Harvey, thanks. I called you back when the housing debacle started, 2009 and 10 in that area. And I gave him great advice. And you can go back and listen to our shows, I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah.
That's
We got
the
the
advice we
receipts.
were given. We're like, hang in there. You had a group of families out there destroying the home,
Yeah.
ripping
They
it
were
off.
putting
I
the
mean,
keys. They were
crazy.
trashing the house. They were
It was
putting the keys
nuts.
on the counter, and they were walking out.
Turning on faucets and walking
and
out.
I would
That's crazy to me as a person.
I would get the call. I would get a call. Hey, Harry, my neighbors are doing this, and they're leaving. Why am I making my mortgage payment? And I'm
Yeah.
saying, your neighbors can't afford to make the mortgage payment because they just got laid off. 2 school teachers, they got laid off. You're working.
Yeah.
Don't scam the system.
Yeah.
All right. You can afford to make the payment. You make the payment, write it out, it'll come back. And sure enough, it did. Desperate people do desperate things at desperate times. And back in 2007, 8, 9, we took those calls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we told people to hang in there.
Hang in there.
Yeah.
And it worked out very well for the people that hung in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a difference between like a public recession and a personal recession.
Yes.
And during these bad times, sometimes people are going through both. They're going through a personal recession and the public recession. And obviously, a public recession, the government steps in. There's certain things that they're going to try to like offset that. But in those moments, you don't get to like. It was just disheartening where people were losing their minds and just doing malicious things, right? Like you don't need.
It's like they were angry that they still had a job and their neighbors were getting help because their
Yeah.
neighbors weren't working.
Yeah.
And I promise you, it's better to still have employment
Yes.
than to wonder where you're.
Make your payment because that sticks
Well,
with you
that's what I'm saying.
forever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Forever.
But I mean, it was just like people were almost jealous, like they get to stay and they're getting help. And I'm not, it was kind of a sad time if you really think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
you should be really, as a community, helping anybody that we can.
Correct. Yeah.
I don't want to remind anyone
No.
that the credit unions didn't help anybody. I didn't even say that. Now, you want to block that. Of
there's
course,
a-
balls
there's
over.
a lot of other
but
things.
they didn't use the HAMP program. They didn't use the HARP program.
yeah. Well,
they couldn't,
A home
but yeah.
affordable modification programs.
Yeah.
If you got a loan, I'm sorry to say, through a CU, I cut it down shorter, a
Yeah.
credit union, then they weren't negotiating with folks. So other reasons why doing loans with real mortgage bankers could really be a thing that'll be positive for you in the future. You never know what could happen
Because
out
we
there.
genuinely care.
Yes.
Like honestly, and like there is I talk about it sometimes. There's like we're a part of a dying breed of loan officer out there. We've been doing it a long time. We've seen the ups and downs and the ebb and flows, and we really want to be a part of the positive evolution of mortgages and real estate. And obviously, there's always newcomers coming in to the scene every year. But the new generation it's like they have the technology. It's surpassing them. Like where they don't even know what it's like to really manually calculate a pay stub or income to any capacity. They don't know how to fix something if it goes wrong. They wait for someone else to find the problem and then they try and fix it. And somebody
But
else
it's
does,
okay.
right?
I'm going to tell you this.
Yeah.
They don't care.
No, they don't care.
They just don't care. They just want to get it done, over with, get paid, and that's it.
And that's how we know, because they end up with us.
Yeah, we'll get that phone call.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of that. Pretty proud of helping people for a long time. But the best referral you can get is from somebody that you did their whole family's loan.
Yeah, that's
and
cool.
then they tell their daughter or son to call you, their granddaughter, their grandson to call you. And those are the best referrals because that you're a trusted advisor at that point in time. And talking about giving the best transaction, the best deal, the best experience. Yeah, I think that's part of it. You've got to do that, or else you cannot be in this business.
And I feel like there's a lot of other mortgage companies are more transactional. You know, you call them on the phone and it's a giant phone bank and they're a call center. We're not that way. You know what I mean? I mean, not that I'm not going to call you back. Absolutely, that's not the case. But I feel like for us, we're looking to establish relationships. I want to be your lender for life. I want to do this house, and if you decide to, downsize in 20 years because you're going to retire, I want to do that condo for you.
Yeah.
I want, and I feel like if you treat people that way, you're always going to make the right decision by them or help them make the right decision.
Yeah, I took a call yesterday from a longtime client of mine, and the last mortgage we did was about four or 5 years ago, and they're looking to refinance and do those things, and he was like, "There's no one else." He's like, "You're the person," and it was we had a great connection. Like now they have a baby, and I got to see pictures of their 2-year-old, and it was cool, But we get to be a part of those moments. But when you do it right the first time for somebody, you get to do it all the way, even to the last time they decide to either purchase a house or refinance, and that's a beautiful thing to be a part of someone's financial and real estate journey from start to finish.
I will hook up with these great real estate agents too. Pat, of course, you are not only a real estate agent, you're a therapist, you're a negotiator, schedule coordinator. Deal.
A little bit of all.
You're quarterback in the whole transaction.
23 years in the business.
Yeah, fantastic. Like whether you've been a year in the industry, 20, 30, 40 years, return your phone calls. Of course, sure enough, I got the email late in the afternoon yesterday. Harvey, the appraiser hasn't even been contacted back. And sure enough, we reach out to the listing agent and they called my office number. I don't check that. Like, okay.
Why would you admit that?
I'm not sure here. But Pat, we're dealing with that, and you guys are too. It's funny. It was not only loan officers talking about incompetency maybe on the real estate side, but real estate agents don't like when they're working with the unprofessionals. That always comes up.
Yeah. When people aren't returning their phone calls, they're not answering their texts.
Yeah.
They're just,
Right, and they're representing sellers that might be with other family, could be a trust or someone selling it, representing 3 or 4 different people. They put all that trust in you to do those things, to return those phone calls, to be those 4 things I mentioned: negotiator,
keep
therapist,
all the balls in the air.
Yeah, schedule coordinator. I think you guys do a great job of that.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, it is. Keeping it all together so that it gets to the closing table.
Yeah.
They get their keys, they're happy.
That's great. And again, life is always changing and things happen. So we always tell you to do your due diligence. Always a reminder on this show to do your due diligence. Things that we can do to help you, of course, is improve your credit scores. Of course, Lisa is a specialist on that. We all have our little niches that can really help families. But I think mine is to give families confidence, to go over the numbers and be real specific about numbers, documentation they're going to need. I don't like the surprise party. It actually drives me nuts as I get older.
Exactly.
Most transactions, Pat, as you know, are taking 3 to 4 weeks, which is very common. And there's lots of people involved in the transaction. A lot of times there's a title company that might have a lien they need to clean up.
Oh, yeah.
So things like this come up all the time.
Right. I get all of my purchase agreements to the title company immediately. When I list a property, they know the listing, they know what's going on with the sellers, and everything falls into line. So, there are no surprises.
Yeah, Pat, people should not wait in 2026. In 71% of the home markets over the country in the first quarter, this is quarter number 1, prices have gone up significantly. So if people are thinking about, well, I'm not going to buy this year, I'm going to buy next year, it's going to cost you more money to buy the same house next year if you're thinking about interest rates coming down. So, for example, in the Midwest here, the average price of a home went up in the first 3 months of the year 4% over last year. Okay, if you do the math, 4% over 4 quarters is 16%. I'm good with math.
Hey.
So you're going to wait. If that holds true for 2026, you're going to pay 16% more for the same house next year. So just think about that. Now, again, we always have to preface it by saying what? It's got to work for you. The math has to work, and you have to be able to afford it. But it is going to get a lot more expensive to buy a house.
Even if you cut that in half here, you're at 8%. Cut it one more time. If it's only 4 or 5%,
if it only stays
appreciation on a $300,000 house, that's $315 next year.
Yeah.
Then $330 the year after that. So yeah, it's always going to go in that direction. There's no doubt.
So that's where it's going. That's where it's headed right this second. Those are the up-to-date numbers.
Yeah.
That's the best I can do for you right now.
I hear music.
That's the music because
no.
we're in. We got this national show starting at 8:57, but of course there's going to be sports here nonstop all morning long. Brendan Shabath and Kenny Cott, they're going to start things off. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. For Pat Uribe from RE/MAX Eclipse, Becky Alley, Harry Glanz, Lisa Lawson, I'm Harvey Freed. We'll see you next Saturday. Go Pistons.